right, guys, this is Crazy Kev here, and I'm here with Joe Giannetti. How we doing?
I'm doing good, man. Just celebrating the win, hanging out. It's a lazy day today.
Love it. I love it. Now, talk us a little bit more about that win, man. You had a really quick ninja choke there. Talk to us a little bit more about that one.
Yeah, man, it was awesome. I mean, obviously that's like best case scenario, no scrapes, no bumps, no bruises. Get the win, get to go celebrate with my friends and family. And it was just perfect planning from the coaches and all the work we put in throughout camp. So I really can't be much happier about that one. Kind of closed the chapter on that little rivalry.
Yeah. Now, with that being said, too, I mean, obviously being so close to being called to it like a bigger league, were you trying to go out there and get a unique finish? I mean, talk to us more about that finish.
I mean, I'm always trying to get the finish. It sucks, but it's like just the name of the game nowadays is I'm usually just fighting guys that are just trying to get a decision. And as a fighter and as a fan of the sport, like that's just not who I am. So when these finishes come, like it's crazy to the fans, but it's nothing new to me. That's what I'm always trying to get. I'm just trying to get in and out. I'm trying to put on a show, and I'm trying to get paid.
Yeah, yeah, no, definitely, and I definitely hear you there. With that being said, too, I mean, for fans that don't really train MMA, I mean, how would you typically do a ninja choke?
Yeah, so I mean, it's basically one of the first things you learn is a rear naked choke in jiu-jitsu. It's essentially the same thing, just more from a guillotine position. And it's something that I learned over the years after I started getting really good at, guillotines and darce chokes and stuff like that. I just kind of felt it once I started doing it.
Yeah, yeah, no, definitely. And with you just having a fight, do you happen to have any eyes on somebody like next, or talk to us a little bit more about that?
I don't know, man. I kind of called out like all the champions from all these big organizations outside of the UFC. I'm down to fight anybody. I want to fight again soon this summer. I want to get like two more in this year, three if it's a big organization. But yeah, I don't really care. I'll fight anybody. I want to get in there soon. And, like I said, I want to get paid. I want to start making some money. I've been doing this since I was 17, and I've got over 20 professional fights. I got more fights than half the UFC roster.
Yeah, yeah, no, you definitely do. And yeah, with that being said, too, speaking about getting paid, I mean, you got a little bit of like some sponsors with your shirts and stuff. Talk to us more about like the designs and stuff, how you come up with them.
Yeah, so that's actually like probably one of the most fun things in the process is like obviously depending on, who I'm fighting, is there beef, is there something, funny that or catchy either of us said, and I kind of just bounce ideas off my coaches and my fiance and my friends, and I always have a blast with that. And it's just, I tell people all the time, I don't really make a killing on like selling merch, but it's always cool seeing everybody represent come fight night, and then it's awesome getting sponsors and local businesses on the back, just knowing that they're supporting my journey and I'm supporting their business. So it's not really a moneymaker as far as the merch itself, but the sponsors make it happen. And, like I said, it's cool seeing everybody represent.
Yeah, yeah, no, definitely. And yeah, another thing too, I think is pretty interesting with you is not only are you a exciting fighter out there, you're also an exciting fighter on the mic. Who's maybe some of your favorite trash talkers you like to listen to?
Honestly, I'd say the GOAT is Chael Sonnen. Like his trash talk is just unmatched. I know people like to say Connor, but when I think of that trash talk, I think of Chael Sonnen, and it's just, you know, it's it's like he's living in his own reality and he's bringing everybody along with him. It's crazy.
Yeah, yeah, no, he definitely is. And yeah, speaking about the UFC, did you happen to catch the fights last night with 302?
I did, unfortunately, I feel like just stylistically, the matchups, weren't the most exciting. But there was some crazy finishes. Kevin Holland's armbar had my whole house going nuts. That was wild. And then obviously the main event and the co-main. Poirier fought way better than I thought. But yeah, no, yeah, Kevin Holland's armbar was nuts. Had my whole house going crazy. I can't believe that dude didn't tap. He's going to be out for a while. That was nuts. And then the main event, Poirier fought better than I think 90% of us thought he was going to. I think a lot of people wanted Poirier to win, but I don't think they thought he was going to perform the way he did. And he looked great. Islam did his thing and got the submission. He got him to tap and put him out. Super impressive. I don't know what's next for him.
Yeah, yeah, no, definitely. And another thing I thought was interesting too. I mean, this was the first time trying out the new gloves, and right away there was a couple eye pokes. I mean, what do you think they're able to do to like stop like some of these eye pokes, or just like other things in general, like grabbing the fence and stuff?
I feel like, and I don't remember who, but I'm pretty sure there was a company that came out with some MMA gloves with like a little bit of a curve in the fingertips. And I feel like that's really just like the last piece they're missing as far as their gloves. Like if your fingers are just a little bit bent, you're not going to be able to poke. You're not going to be able to extend to get that grab in the cage. You'll probably have less hand injuries because you'll be halfway closed before you start throwing your punches while you're feeling your range out. But yeah, I feel like there's still one little piece missing to their new glove design.
Yeah, yeah, no, definitely. And with that being said, too, I mean, is there any rules in MMA that maybe you'd want to change?
Yeah, I think the biggest one's probably the grounded opponent rule. I feel like too many guys play that game. I feel like they should allow knees to the head on the ground because like I said, they play the game, and then you got guys that are winning fights that they get rocked and they drop to their knee and they know that they're safe. Wrestlers have nothing to worry about. And then I would say just ground control. If you're taking guys down and you're not trying to do damage, submit them, or pass, like we need refs that are on top of these guys because like it's awesome. Like you could be an Olympic wrestler, D1 wrestler, and round of applause. Like that's some hard work. Wrestling's the hardest sport out there. I'm not going to deny it, but we're not doing wrestling. We're fighting. Like this is mixed martial arts. Let's mix it up. Let's fight. Because in the reality, if we're in a street fight and you take me down and you're not trying to hurt me, you're not going to hurt me. I'm going to sit there and eventually I'm going to get up. Or it's going to get broken up. So in MMA, like, as a fighter and as a fan, there's no reason for guys to just be, laying in side control, laying in half guard. I've lost fights fighting as hard as I can to try and get up. And my whole career has turned into just fighting off these guys that want to hold me down. So I feel like we got to get refs on top of those guys more.
Yeah, yeah, no, definitely. I definitely agree with you there. And switching things up a little bit. With that being said, on your Instagram story a little bit back ago, you had some like video games you posted up. With that being said, I mean, what's maybe some of your favorite video games you like to play?
So I got a love-hate relationship with Call of Duty. I grew up playing Call of Duty. It's like one of my favorite games of all time. But these kids are getting good nowadays. I've been getting whooped. I still play every now and then, but I've been falling back to like some old school Nintendo games. Give me some Pokemon, some Mario, some Zelda. Gets me a lot less stressed out when I'm playing those.
Yeah, yeah, no, definitely. I hear you. No, these kids are definitely nuts. And with that being said, too, I mean, you had like MLB The Show. I mean, what's maybe one of your favorite MLB The Show memories?
Dude, I would have to say, like you said, I just bought MLB '06, the show for PS2. When I was in like fourth or fifth grade, I used to play that with my dad all the time. And I remember, as a kid, like you think $5 is a lot. I remember my dad bet me $5 on a game of MLB and I won. And I was like, oh yeah, he owes me $5. And he was like, all right, we'll do double or nothing. And I won that game too. And I swear to you, we played double or nothing until he owed me like $200. And then he was like, all right, one more, double or nothing. And I was like, all right, sure. And he whooped my ass. It was like 10-1. And I was like, you just punked me. He was like, I don't know what you're talking about. I was like, you haven't scored a run in 5 games and you just scored 10 and I scored 1. I remember being devastated as a little kid. Like I thought I was going to be a millionaire with $200 and then I got nothing.
Oh, yeah. Oh, wow. That's horrible. That's definitely a funny memory. Yeah,
It's one
man.
of the best things ever.
Yeah, no, it definitely sounds like it, man. Wow. Now, you mentioned the PS2 and everything like that. What's maybe your favorite console that you ever used to play?
Honestly, I would have to go with either like the Game Boy Advance or the PSP. The PSP was so ahead of its time. You watching movies on it. You had like all these like PlayStation games had their own versions for PSP. Like if you rolled up to middle school with a PSP, like you were the coolest kid in class.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. I used to always have a PSP. I used to play street football on there all the time. That used to be my favorite game on there all the time.
Yeah, I used to play the racing game Midnight Club.
Okay,
You
okay.
customize your car. I had all the cars looking like the ones from Fast and Furious.
That's awesome. No, that's definitely pretty cool. No, I like I said, I definitely agree. I think the PSP was definitely ahead of its time, and hopefully they come out with something within the future. I really like the Oculus nowadays. They like you can put a LFA on and stuff, and just kind of watch the fights live, like from the Oculus, and like talk to people. I think that's pretty neat, actually.
Yeah, I'm hoping that VR kind of gets like, like where flat screens TVs first came out, they were so much money, nobody had them. Now you can get one for a couple $100. Like, I can't wait till VR gets to that point where it's just such a normal thing, everybody can get it. Because I've seen things like that. Like, you can watch LFA and the UFC and basically like be in the room with your buddies. I think that stuff's really cool. And then like I've seen like you can emulate. It's almost like you're in like your childhood bedroom playing Nintendo 64, but like you're in VR. That's wild.
Yeah, yeah, they definitely have some interesting stuff. And yeah, with that being said, do you happen to have like a favorite fighting game?
I'm gonna have to go with Dragon Ball Z. They got the
Okay.
new one coming out this year, Sparking Zero. I've already given a warning to all my buddies. I was like, listen, we can still be friends afterwards, but the beating I am putting on all of you is gonna be terrible.
That's awesome. No, that's definitely awesome, man. We're yeah, you should maybe put out a video or something, maybe stream it. I think the fans will definitely tune in if you want.
Oh yeah, it's gonna get intense in my household.
I love it. I love it. And yeah, man, with that being said, getting back into training, I mean, what's kind of the vibes like when you're training? What kind of music do you like to listen to?
So honestly, it changes like day by day. I think it depends on if I have a fight, if I don't have a fight, if I know it's going to be a hard day. Like if we're just coming in on like a Saturday morning, it's open mat, let's get some rolls in, like some high energy music, maybe something that like you listen to at like a pregame before you go out to the club with the boys. But then if it's like it's mid fight camp, it's wrestling day, this is going to be terrible. Like I need some heavy rap. Like I need something that makes me feel like I'm a boss so I can get through this.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. No, that makes sense. And yeah, when you said you're feeling like a boss, do you happen to have some pretty crazy like sparring rounds that maybe you can kind of remember and tell us about?
Honestly, I haven't had many crazy sparring rounds in the last few years. I'm actually not like the biggest fan of hard sparring. So I remember when I first started training, like I used to spar hard like 3 or 4 days a week. I didn't know anything about striking. I was like, oh, well, this will make me better. And then me and my buddies used to just beat the hell out of each other. Like we were coming out with bloody noses, like, oh, this will make us better. Like one guy's a Muay Thai guy. He's just chopping my legs down. I'm going to work the next day limping. I'm like 19 years old. They're like, are you sure you want to do this?
Yeah, yeah, no, that definitely makes sense. I definitely have been there a couple of times when it comes to sparring and stuff, just like limping around for the leg kicks. It's definitely not fun. And speaking of like like walking around and stuff with like your legs hurt, what do you think is maybe the strongest kick you can kind of learn and throw?
I think that honestly depends on body types, like I played soccer growing up as a kid and I feel like my front kick is like slept on a lot, whether it's a front teep to the body or just like that Anderson Silva Vitor Belfort snap kick. And I don't even throw it that much, but I throw it in training sometimes and guys are like, you could throw it like that? And I'm like, dude, it's just a soccer kick. Like that kick that Chandler hit Tony Ferguson with, like that was just a soccer kick.
Oh yeah. Yeah, yeah, no, definitely. Because I had that debate with somebody at my martial arts school. They were trying to debate if it was either the front kick, like you mentioned, or like the side kicks, or even like a spinning back kick. But yeah, I was trying to figure out what maybe your point of view was with that.
Yeah, I think it's body type because I've got a buddy that like straight up I would not want to eat a spinning back kick from him. Like he would destroy my stomach. But like I said, I don't think I would be able to throw it as hard as he can. So I mean, like, have you seen the videos of Joe Rogan and GSP throwing those? Oh my God, I don't want to get hit with that.
Yeah, no, I was actually just about to ask you about that. Yeah, what do you think about Joe Rogan? Like, how do you think he would have maybe did if he ever ended up doing MMA?
I especially because they've got him as like one of those like additional characters in the UFC games. I would have loved to see him just do a couple MMA fights, especially like he was in the age where there wasn't really any drug testing, so he could have been all juiced up and jacked up like the rest of them. I feel like he would have been a killer. Jiu-jitsu and wrestling weren't like the focal points of MMA back then, so I feel like he might, piece some dudes up.
Oh yeah, yeah, no, he definitely had some fun striking. It's always an interesting question that I always like to think about. And yeah, man. With that being said, too, you have a ninja choke now under your belt. What's maybe some of your other favorite unique submissions you like to kind of hit in the gym?
I don't know. I go for everything. I still want to hit a twister in a fight. I try to hit twisters all the time in the gym, and everybody gets pissed at me, but I love them. When I wrestled in high school, I used to I used to go for like spladles and banana splits and the twisters and stuff, and like my coaches hated it, but I sucked at wrestling. And then when I got decent, like that was the move I was hitting. I wasn't hitting basic moves, so my coaches used to get so pissed.
Yeah, no, that definitely makes sense. And with all the different submissions out there, what was maybe the hardest one to maybe master?
The hardest one to master. Honestly, I would say that arm bars. It took me like years for me to be like, oh, I can arm bar that dude like that. Like just anybody, a high level guy or whatever. But for years I would go for arm bars and I feel like halfway through I'm just gonna bail out and grab a triangle.
No, what was maybe so hard about the arm bars that was maybe throwing you off?
I just could never get like I could never keep their elbow in the center of my hip. And like every time their elbow would slip out or I wouldn't pinch my knees and they'd rotate it just enough. And I'm like, there's too much to this one. Let's go to the next.
That definitely makes sense. And yeah, do you happen to have maybe like your favorite go-to submission to hit in the gym?
Now I'd like it sucks because like I do it too much and I try not to fall back on it, but like I hit darce chokes from everywhere, like everybody in my gym hates when I darce them. They just like as soon as I grab it, they just tap. And they're like, I'm not even fighting out of it. And I'm like, no, you gotta fight out of it. You gotta work for it.
Yeah, yeah, no, definitely. And yeah, with that being said too, I mean, what's maybe your strength and conditioning kind of like in the gym too?
Yeah, so like when I'm at BTT Taunton, I'm here at home. Like my biggest strength and conditioning is just rounds. Whatever we're doing, whether it's striking, wrestling, or grappling, like just intense rounds. Go, go, go. Not trying to kill each other, but just keeping that pace, making sure I'm getting that push. And then when I'm back at my spot over at my dad's house, I got my little gym set up. I'm just doing the bike workouts that we did on Tough that we do at AKA that DC and Habib had me doing, and it's just 30 minutes straight, minute intervals. Either kicking the bag and then back on the bike and then punching the bag, back on the bike, up downs, back on the bike. And it's like I try to tell myself every time I pull up and I'm like, all right, this is going to be a tough 30 minutes, but it's just 30 minutes and then you're done. And then you get going. And the first 5 minutes is like, before you're fully warmed up, it is like the longest 5 minutes of your life.
Yeah, no, it definitely seems like it. And do you think like cardio is maybe the most important thing to kind of have in MMA?
Yeah, 100%. It's one of those things where it's like, I tell people all the time, and I've heard it. I'm not the original person who said this, but I heard it before about wrestling. But it's like, everybody can wrestle or fight in the first round. It's like, who are you in the third round or in the fifth round? Like, are you still that guy? It's real easy to be that guy in the first 10 seconds. And that's why I feel like you see these guys that are like power punchers or just really good kickboxers. They succeed for a certain amount of time, whether it's all the way through the local scene or maybe a good amount of the way through like title contention in the UFC or a big promotion. And then they face that one guy who's great in the first round and even better in the third, fourth, and fifth. And they just fall apart and they look like a shell of themselves. And it's not because they're bad, but like being that guy in the fifth round is different. It's almost like a whole new fight.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, I definitely agree with you. And yeah, looking at back at your career too, you have like a bunch of matchups that like you kind of fought like wins, losses, and then you also had a couple sick canceled matchups like against Patty Pimblett. With that being said, do you happen to have like any matchups you'd maybe like to run back or like out of all those canceled or maybe matches you might have lost to?
I want that Patty Pimblett fight bad. I want that fight bad. Like I tell people all the time, I messed up. I missed weight, but I tried to save that fight on 10 days notice. They told me nobody in the world wanted that fight. They had reached out to everybody. I was the last hope. And I was like, all right, I'm going to make weight and go save this kid's fight and beat him up and get some publicity. And, I lost like 30 pounds and I still missed weight. And he ran his mouth over and over again. And I told him, like, I don't know how it goes in England, but in America, when you talk like that, like you fight about it. And I guess it's not like that in England. I guess you just talk about it and tweet about it.
Yeah.
So, I still get trolls every once in a while talking shit, and I'm sure I'll get some for this, but I don't care, man. I want to beat the hell out of Patty. He ain't that good. I think the hype, kind of swallows people up when they get under the big lights, but that kid's not good.
Yeah, yeah, no, I definitely think that would be a fun matchup for you. And obviously, coming off a big win now with the Ninja Choke, do you think maybe a bigger promotion could be like the future for you in your next fight?
Yeah, man, I'd like to think so. I feel like, and I said this in my post-fight interviews, that fight was so big for me, not because of, Bone was on a tear. He'd taken out just about everybody locally. He was on a 4-fight win streak. But, I missed weight against him too, and I beat him, and people said it was a great show, but I have high standards. It was a poor performance on my end, and it was just a really big piece of redemption, especially after the Dufort loss. So it was kind of that 2-1. I didn't get my rematch with Dufort. He was off to PFL. I don't blame him, but then it was like I got to fight to get my belt back, and I got a chance to redeem myself by making weight, champ weight at that, and then to come out and beat him the way I did. I told everybody that the rematch wasn't going to be the same, and it wasn't. So it was just a really big redemption point for me, and it's just onward and upward from here. And I think that these big promotions are on notice.
Oh yeah, yeah, no, they definitely should be. And with that being said, with these bigger promotions, they like to sign these guys out on like short notice and stuff. Would that be something you're interested in?
Yeah, man. When I was like 22 before the Ultimate Fighter, I thought for sure that I would get in the UFC from like a short notice call, and then obviously tried out for Tough and got on there. And then after that, I didn't think that the UFC would ever really pick me up short notice. I thought that it would be like a long process, and then they decide to pick me up. But now I'm kind of falling back to that point where I'm like, all right, when I do get signed, it'll probably be short notice. So I've been keeping my weight down. This is the lightest I've been this far after a fight. Just over a week, and I'm still in the mid to low 70s. So it'll be nice, whether it's the UFC or whatever. My next fight, I'm not even going to be worrying about weight. It's just going to be train and focus on beating your opponent.
Yeah, yeah, no, definitely. And with that being said, too, I mean, what's maybe some of the best advice you got so far in your MMA career?
Honestly, it's just be yourself and keep training, and don't worry about the results. Obviously you want to win and you don't want to lose, but all you can do is your best. All you can do is train your ass off, and like whatever's going to happen is going to happen. If I've had losses where I've gone out there and haven't done my best, and then I have to sit there and be like, you're not going to get the rematch, and you're not going to get to show the world that if you do your best, you beat that guy. So it's like I always tell myself when I'm in the back room before I'm walking out, I'm like, go do your best, go do your best, go do your best. And as long as I'm doing my best, I really don't give a shit if I win or lose, because I know that I'll get better either way. But yeah, as long as I can look myself in the mirror the next morning and know that there's nothing else I could do, I'm happy with however the fight ends up.
Yeah, yeah, no, definitely. And yeah, we're looking forward to your next fight for sure. And with that being said, getting back to the Ultimate Fighter, when you were trying out, what was that kind of like? And who was kind of watching you and stuff? Like, talk to us a little bit more about kind of getting onto the show.
Yeah, it was really cool. There was a lot of UFC fighters like at the time, current UFC fighters just there. They had teammates trying out or they were just watching. And then Sean Shelby was over watching the tryouts with some other people. I didn't really pay attention too much to who they were, but I did recognize Shelby. He was like the main guy. And you kind of show up and you fill out paperwork, you step on the scale and then tell them what weight class you would try out at. Cause I think my season they had three weight classes show up, and then like halfway through the day they cut one. And I remember I filled out for 155 and 170. And then when you get to this table after waiting in line, they're like, you got to pick a weight class. And I was like, oh no, I could do both. And they're like, no, pick one weight class. And I was like, can I make 55 twice within like 6 weeks? And I was like, all right, screw it, I'll do 55. And then I did the tryouts, and I'm halfway through the day, and they bring all the weight classes together, and they're like, hey guys, everybody's looking great, but we're not going to keep the welterweights. And I just looked over, and like all those guys' heads sank, and I was just so grateful that I just happened to pick lightweight. Like that one decision could have been the difference from being where I'm at now to just being another unknown guy on the scene. And then you continue your day with some interviews, some grappling in front of Shelby. You hit pads, and then you do another interview with some TV producers. Basically, make sure you're TV worthy on top of being able to fight and being one of the best outside of the UFC. And then basically, if you get check marked in all those areas and they like you, they kind of just start chopping down the names and see who makes the cut.
Yeah. Now, when you were doing those interviews and stuff, I mean, what was the nerves kind of like, and what were maybe some of the questions kind of like too?
Oh, I was so nervous. I was honestly more nervous doing interviews with TV producers than I was hitting pads and grappling in front of Sean Shelby. Like, I'm over here trying to show like I belong and that like I'm better than these guys that are already in the UFC. But then it's like after you do that, that doesn't matter if you get in front of a TV producer and they don't think you're TV worthy. So it was funny. Like I was 22 at the time. I had like the little, I don't know, the goatee going on, and they were like, "Oh, you kind of look like Nate Diaz. Do people tell you that?" And I was like, "All the time, actually." And they were like, "You think you could beat Nate Diaz?" And I was like, "I'll choke Nate Diaz's ass out. I don't care about him." And then like they're all laughing, and one of them's like, "What about Nick Diaz?" And I was like, "No, no, 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 no." I was like, "I don't want any problems with Nick Diaz." So it's just like showing a little bit of personality on top of being one of the best guys in the local scene. Yeah, it was nerve wracking.
Yeah, no, it definitely seems like it. And with all the people that were trying out, I mean, how many people do you think were actually at the event?
There was a lot. We had like whatever hotel we were at, we had one of those event rooms, and it was just flooded with people. There was over a couple hundred. There was a lot of people. Like at one point, it felt like we were shoulder to shoulder in there before people started getting cut. And then, like I said, people brought their wives, friends, girlfriends, teammates, coaches. So for every one fighter, there was like six other people there.
Yeah. Now, when you were hitting the mitts and stuff, what was that kind of like? Did you have like certain drills that you had to do, or were you just kind of, doing like kind of like a warm up or something? Talk to us a little bit more about that.
So I didn't even know that was part of the tryout. So I showed up and some of these coaches were there, like all kitted up with their pads, and they had this whole like routine worked out with their fighter. And I was like, I didn't know I was supposed to bring a pad guy. So they actually had a guy there. He's like an old school coach. I forget his name, but he was like, "Hey man," he's like, I can hold pads for you if you want me to." And then he like talked to me for a minute. He was like, "What's your style? What do you like?" I was like, "I'm a southpaw and I'll basically throw whatever. I'm not a Muay Thai guy. I'm not a boxer. Like I kind of just do everything." And we ended up flowing really well, and we just kind of did like I think it was like 2 minutes on the pads, and I was like, all right, 2 minutes, just go as hard as you can, hit as hard as you can, get exhausted because this is the only 2 minutes you're gonna get in front of them. And I just went all out, and they must have liked what they saw.
Yeah, no, that's definitely awesome. And with that being said, have you kept in contact at all with that pad holder?
I haven't. That's like one of my few regrets is like I remember I think I followed him on Instagram or he followed me, but and then like I crept on his page and I was like, holy shit, like he coached so and so like back in the day and he used to fight. He was an older guy. I gotta try and find him again, but he was the man. He was super cool.
Yeah, no, definitely, man. And with that being said, obviously you fought in all different kinds of promotions. Now, what's maybe your favorite promotion that you've fought in so far?
I mean, I would have to say I know everybody's gonna say I'm biased, but it's close. But I'm gonna have to put Cage Titans on top. I'd say my second favorite's LFA, because like the feel of everything with LFA is like you feel like you're fighting for the UFC. Like the production, the cage, everything, the way they run everything is great. And Cage Titans is no different. They try to run everything as close to the UFC as possible, but there's just nothing better than you're selling tickets to your friends, your family, your cousins, their friends, and all these opportunities for us local fighters to make money. And I tell people all the time, they're like, why don't you go fight here, why don't you go fight here? And I'm just like, I make so much money at Cage Titans, not maybe not my fight purse, but I have all these other avenues to make income. We get a cut of the pay-per-views, we can sell our merch, we can sell tickets, we get a commission of that. And just the way that they advertise us fighters, it's all local. So, if Cage Titan starts advertising down the street from where the venue is, and someone's like, oh, I like that fighter, I want to go see him, but they see at the bottom of the poster, contact your favorite fighter for tickets. Now I'm getting a couple more ticket sales. My commission goes up a little bit. And that's why I thank my sponsors and my fans and my family and my friends so much, because it's like, yeah, without Cage Titans advertising and giving me that avenue, like I wouldn't be able to make that money. But without those people buying merch and tickets and ordering pay-per-views and attending fights, like I really wouldn't be making any money, because I make so much more from all that. So that's why I try to tell people I appreciate my fans so much, and I try to do as many giveaways as possible. And I don't have like a huge profit margin on merch, because it's just cool to see people wearing it. Just like I just try to give back whenever I can. I'm not a rich dude, but if I had a lot of money, I don't know how long I'd have it, because like I always see people, I'm like, damn, I want to help them out, and I don't even have money yet.
Yeah, no, that definitely makes sense. And like speaking a little bit more about that, I mean, like, have you thought about what maybe you'd have to do after fighting when it comes to like making money and stuff?
Yeah, man, I want to open a gym one day. It's kind of been my dream since I decided. It's been like my not my backup, but like my extended dream after deciding I wanted to be a fighter. Like I was that little fat kid watching Dragon Ball Z, and I thought fighting was cool, and I started getting in shape because of high school wrestling, and I was like, yeah, man, I'm gonna be a UFC world champ. And then after I started training, I was like, man, like I could take other little fat kids that like want to, watch Dragon Ball Z but be in shape, and like I could get them in the gym and teach them, even if they don't want to be fighters, but at least how to defend themselves. I got into so many fights growing up because I got bullied, and I broke my hand a couple times in high school before I even like knew how to actually throw a punch. So, if I can teach kids how to defend themselves and how to grow up as good people, and when I was younger, I trained since I was 17 out of high school, and for years the gym was just my safe haven. Like my life sucked outside of training, and I hated being home, and I didn't have that many. Like I had a small circle of friends, so I didn't really have that many people that I was really opening up to. So I was just like, when I had a bad day, I'd go to the gym, and it would keep me from doing stupid shit, and it would keep me out of trouble. And if I can do that for somebody else, then that's what I want to do. And especially if it's something that can eventually provide for my family. But it's tough because I have people all the time like, dude, when are you opening a gym? When are you opening a gym? And it's like, fighting is so selfish, unfortunately, like I can't cut any of my training time to help these other people. So it's like right now it's just full steam ahead on fighting. And then when I'm done fighting, I'm going to be full steam ahead on opening a gym. There'll never be like I'm going to retire, and then 4 months later I'm out of retirement. Like when I'm done, I'm done. And I'm going to be full steam ahead coach, and you'll never see me in there again. But for now, I'm focused on getting paid and taking snatching necks and cashing checks.
Yeah, yeah, no, definitely, man. And yeah, with that being said too, with the gyms, I mean, for people out there that don't do martial arts, why should the average person train in martial arts if they haven't before?
Man, it sounds so corny, but like you need to do something hard, and you need to do something challenging and enjoy it. Like you need to just learn how to enjoy shit that's hard, and you need to learn about yourself. Like you need to know like when stuff gets hard, like I can push through it, and I'm going to be better because of it. And you bring that attitude into everything else in life. And now every time some challenge pops up in your life, whether it's finances or something emotional, like that you can get through it. And I just feel like martial arts is the best expression to do that and learn those things about yourself. And like I said, if you can learn how to defend yourself, you'll feel safer, less anxious, more confident. I tell people all the time, like when I'm done fighting, like I won't be on social media unless I'm posting about my gym, and everybody just laughs because I'm on social media so much. And I'm like, if you guys knew me in high school, like I barely talked to anybody. I was too awkward. I didn't like the way I looked. I didn't like the way my voice sounded. I had acne. Like I was the quietest little kid. And martial arts like brought me out of that shell. I always wanted to be that guy that like could talk to everybody, that like, even if we're not friends, like I had acquaintances, I could say what's up to people everywhere. And, MMA has kind of done that for me. And, I got healthy, and I'm very aware of what food and stuff I'm putting in my body. So martial arts helps in every avenue of life. Even if you're not trying to be a world champion, learn to defend yourself, learn to take care of yourself, and learn about yourself. You'll learn more about yourself in any of these combat sports than you think.
Yeah, yeah, no, I definitely agree with you. I definitely think martial arts is important, and I definitely think that's a fantastic message. And with that being said, man, speaking of messages, I mean, thank you so much for coming back on the show, being your first guy to come back on. It's been awesome talking to you. Like I mentioned in the first interview, I've always been very high thinking about you. Every time watching from the Ultimate Fighter, I've always been kind of wondering where you're at. So it's been awesome kind of talking to you, meeting you again. And yeah, we're looking forward to your growth and, getting back to your message. What's maybe your final message out there for the fans watching this video?
If you've bought tickets, merch, or if you just commented, liked, and reposted my stuff on social media, I can't thank you enough. If whether you're in Massachusetts or any area with local MMA, buy tickets from those local guys. If there's pay-per-views, buy them, buy their t-shirts, support them, take care of each other. But yeah, mostly just thank you and keep going. Don't give up. Shit gets hard, but you can do it. That's about it.
Yeah, no, definitely. And yeah, thank you so much for coming on the show. We're looking forward to what's next and hopefully big promotions, man. Because yeah,
I
I think
hope
that's
so.
yeah, 100%, man. Dude, thank you so much. And yeah, enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you again.
You too. Thanks, bro. Have a good
Yeah,
one.
man. Take care. Yeah, man. You too. Take care.